So by the
Hey, my friend.
welcome to Voices from the Laboratory. This is a podcast that centers and affirms Lao diaspora women's experiences, passions, and joy. And today I got one of the most joy-inducing people. I'm here with my girl, Noy Munedouang. And Noy, feel free to say hello to our audience and just briefly introduce yourself.
Um, First, I want to say thank you for having me. Um, my name is Noy. I am Kon Lao, refugee. I actually wasn't born here. Came here when I was young. Typical Lao refugee story: crossing the Mekong, getting over here, people shooting at you from the river. I am currently in California, San Gabriel area, not too far from LA. I lived in Chicago most of my life, and I lived a decade in New York. And that is where I met Nisa.
Meeting in New York always makes for fun stories. We met several years ago doing volunteer work for Legacies of War.
Legacies, yeah.
This was the first year where they had the Lao fashion event. And I remember just showing up to brunch with, I think, one other Lao person that I knew. And then lo and behold, there was a whole table
I know.
of people just like that. Everybody who either came with the other one Lao person that they knew in New York City, or they brought somebody that they knew. And for us, a lot of us, it was the first time that we met and we were just so shocked, right? It's
Yeah.
like seeing like a unicorn. It's, oh my God, what are you doing here? How did you
There's
get
that many
here?
people?
What is your last name? Where is your family from? It's like,
Where did you come from? Were you always here?
yeah, because most of us are transplants, right? Except for, I think, maybe two people that we know, including each other. But everybody else is also from somewhere else, right? Just like where you are now in LA, like a lot of people who are loud didn't grow up there. They are also transplants who were attracted to living in the city.
Yeah. And that's why I'm here, because I was like, you know what? I think I'm good with New York. I want to go to California.
And you had been talking about that for many years. So I'm actually really happy to connect with you and see you glowing in the
That's a lot
Golden
of
State. So could you tell us a little bit about just growing up in Chicago and leaving Chicago to go to New York? Because that's a big decision too, right?
So in Chicago, I lived there most of my childhood up until adulthood. There's a lot of loud people in Chicago. There's a lot more in Elgin, which is 40 minutes away. We all know about Little Laos in Elgin, okay? It feels that way because there's so many people there. So I grew up as a kid with a lot of loud kids in the neighborhood. So there's a lot of beating each other up, bullying, typical kid stuff. I think that's where I learned a lot of my cussing, because they were saying loud and nasty stuff and I was saying loud and nasty stuff back. I didn't speak loud that well because I was here so young that I spoke English a lot, but I did cuss and loud a lot when I was younger. Yeah, growing up like the slightly older generation, there were a lot of dropping out of high school, a lot of gangs, and I would see it, but I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to finish school. I want to go to college. I want to, like, what are other loud people doing? Are they opening businesses? Are they doing whatever? I would like, how do I do that? How do I become like the American dream? So I was always like really not sure what to do. And I worked for a small business as an office manager. I basically started off and I did his web design. And then I started like setting up his network. And you can do whatever you want. I started playing with his accounting. I'm sure you're really great with software. And at that time, computers had just come out. We were on dial-up modem at the job. So I had to dial up. And if anybody else was using the line, it would kick me off. So long story short, in there, like me working for him, I was like, oh, I'll probably run my own business too. My sisters and I decided to open a boutique in Chicago. We did. We opened up an accessory boutique in Wicker Park. It was the highlight of my life. It was something that made me know that entrepreneurship is for me. But when you have never started a business, you go in so ignorant. Oh yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have that. And this was right before the financial meltdown in like 2000s. And then after we signed the lease, slow each store on the block within there for years started closing. We ended up being one of them too. But at that time, I really loved what I was doing. And I was like, God, I want to be a fashion designer too. So I was also enrolled in fashion design school in Chicago. And then I knew as I was closing my store, as it was ending, that I was like, how do I go to New York? How do I get there? And then one day, a friend of mine came back from New York, and I was like, oh, hey. I was like, who'd you stay with? So he told me about a friend of his, and who's a mutual friend of my friend. And I was like, does she happen to have a room? I was like, because I just need to get in there, like a summer stay, anything. I will figure it out when I get there. And he's, you know what? I think there is an opening. I mean, here, to be clear.
Something that I realize about you is that you will do that. Like you will hop in your car and drive 10 hours, right? Or like you just said, like you wanted to go into fashion, right? Like you just go for it and you try it. Like you get into the mess of things and you really put your giant into it. I've seen you do that with fashion, cooking, the things that you're doing now. With that said, what was your time in New York like?
It was the best time of my life. At first, it was miserable. Like, miserable in the sense that I was happy. Like, I was really happy to be there, but I hadn't gotten close to anyone the first couple years. And I'll be honest, like, when I first started really enjoying New York, it was because I met loud people.
What year did you move there?
I moved there in 2009. And the first loud person I think I really met was Jan. He was my first loud friend. He introduced me to other loud people. I didn't even know there were loud people around. I'd say after I met all the loud people in New York after the fashion event, it was a blast. I feel like it's just that maybe because we're all transplants and we're loud and you get to eat loud food with your friends.
That's very special because, like you said, we don't live with our parents, right? Every day they're cooking for you. But here it's like we have to
It's
plan,
so rare.
pick a date. We have to go to the one loud restaurant. Or we have to find the Isan restaurant that has really good tambok.
Exactly.
And then also, like some people live in Manhattan, some people live in Queens, like you're in Brooklyn. Queens to somebody living in Brooklyn is like another planet. So if you live there, we'll see each other like once or twice a year. It was like really intentional meetups, right?
Long distance.
It was long distance, but yeah, I remember going to some of the events. Like some people hosted up their homes and like sitting on the floor and just like eating together. It did make New York seem more like
home.
calm. Yeah, yeah.
No,
Especially
that's that home element that you're missing. Like when you get to eat like the macaron with your friends, and like we would get together, we'd play some alarm.
we remember we would do like the speak loud challenge.
Yes. Oh God, we felt miserable.
We would just try to speak loud for as long as we can and make fun of each other's actions. I think I met all those loud people like very early into my time here in New York. So it did make a huge difference in my life because most of my work and my socialization is like within my industry. I hang out with teachers and ain't no other Lao teachers around here. So we did some fun things at Lao NYC and we are trying to revitalize it again with people who are still here because we're like, we don't even really know who's still here because COVID was a big rupture. So we are trying to reinvigorate and we're having a Be My Dinner next month, which I wish you could come to.
I know.
Because I've been looking back through old pictures on my Facebook of all the Lao and YPP.
So many.
And you are also in the middle of all of those pictures. I'm just like, wait, no one is like an integral part of the Lao NYC group. Okay, so yeah, one of your passions, like as I met you, was fashion. And you were one of very few people that I know from our diaspora who knows how to weave, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, different kinds of weaving. There's like the Lao traditional
Yeah.
weaving, but
Very unique skill that I didn't even think about that I had.
and then you were also telling me that you learned it from your mom, but that
Yeah.
your mom is actually highly skilled in another kind of weaving too. So, how did you learn weaving from your mom, and what kind of weaving did she do?
I forgot that when I was 14, my first job was a weaving job. I think I was a freshman in high school. So in Chicago, you don't need a permit if you're under 16 for the summer. So my mom recruited me as an assistant at her weaving company. So I got to work on Oprah's rug. You hear that, Oprah? I worked on your rug. You just didn't know it.
So, your mom, she would weave rugs.
Yeah, so she does the weaving restoration repairs. A lot of people have these old antique vintage rugs, and once they have a hold of them, what they're supposed to do, they'll send the rugs to companies like my mom. I used to have a Macy's discount card because my mom had a spot inside the retail store, and people would just come and watch her weave and restore rugs. She is very rare because she's Lao. She knows how to weave. Her friend recruited her to the rug company when she first came to America. And they just taught her like how to do it in the rug way because she already had a foundation for it. A lot of women her age have done weaving since they were a kid. Very common skill. When you come to America, they're like, oh, weaving? Like, who knew it was a common skill?
Wow. So, you were also helping your mom to
Mhm.
restore the rugs.
Yes. So she taught me how to restore the design. So like you go in and then like you weave it, you look at the count, and then you cut it and then you can brush it and it like blends into the rug. So I've never thought about it. Yeah, I had a summer job as a weaver. I took a textile class at FIT in New York, and it was a weaving class. I'm enrolled more as just a student taking a class. So when I started off, the teacher's like, oh, you're not like a student here, right? I can tell. Girl, let me tell you, okay? When the final came, I had these ideas. So I talked to Chuck a lot and I really liked like his images and I used it. I had the freedom to use any media I wanted. So like I took one and I created a design off of just the color scheme. It was crazy. Like one of his paintings and just slick cut it and I wove it into the fabric because the project was I need to show that I learned every technique. Girl, I showed her my work and she was like, "Oh my god, most improved." I had no idea. I made her keep my feet.
And I saw that sweatshirt too. I remember you showing it
Oh,
to us one
yeah, I
time.
know.
And it's incredible that you did that. I told you I was in Laos recently and we took a reading workshop. We were there for 5 hours and I couldn't get into that meditative, like just do it. It was always like lift up, slide through. Okay, stop, lift up, slide through, stop. It didn't become automatic for me, but I did appreciate learning from those sisters because they would also talk about how they learned it from their mom. And it was like the kind of culture and knowledge that was passed down through women. Even when I would make what I considered a mistake, they'd be like, you just keep going. You're like, nobody's going to notice this one stitch. Whereas like, I'm focused on like, oh my God, I just messed up. So it's like a metaphor that I like to carry through life too. The full thing that I made was still beautiful because it had the patterns. That's something that I learned about weaving. So it's cool to see that you took a class on it, took this print from Jambalaya, made this sweatshirt, and made your teacher eat your feet. Yeah. So speaking of school, you and I are both in similar situations.
Yeah.
We had careers, we had
Mhm.
steady paycheck. We are both now in school, right? I'm going back for a PhD. I'm in grad school. You are in nursing school. We're both set to finish both of our programs in the next year. So talk a little bit more about that. You're in LA now, and that's where you're finishing nursing. I think Lao women in nursing is just so
I
crucial.
know they don't exist very minimally. Like At least when
Very
I actually
few.
been out of a lot of loud people, that's not a lot. Most people who know me know that I had my son passed away since premature for we were inpatient for 11 months. So when I was in the hospital, it's just exposure. Like I had to learn, I had no idea what they were talking about. I don't know what saturation are. I don't know what that machine does. And to the point where after being there for a few months, I was like, man, like I'm like a pro now. I would handle a new nurse. I was like, I'll help. This is how I would do it. And after he passed away, like everything in me dies with grief. So I'm like, there's no creative juices coming out of me, and it's not going to come out anytime soon. I unfortunately am an experienced grief person who's experienced a couple losses. So I knew that it would take a couple years, and I knew that I had to really do something with my time. So after he passed away, I went to California to visit one of my close friends, and she's a nurse in San Francisco. She's, hey, you're pretty good with all that medical stuff. Have you ever thought about nursing? I'm like, no. So it's through Filipino guidance. Thank you, my Filipino loves. And so she told me a school, and she said, you try this school. That's where I went. So I was like, okay, I'll just apply. I come back. I was like, so I applied and they accepted me. So I went, I attended. I honestly, I didn't know if I would like it or not. I knew that I needed to do something positive with my life and just stay focused. So I was like, I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to keep going. I was so stressed out. I was working full time and I was going to school full time. And I said, I got to do this. It's the only thing that's keeping my mind, only thing keeping me sane. So I continued that journey, and it's a 3-year BSN program. So I'm more than halfway through. I'm like 75% way through. We're almost there. And I love it. I didn't know. I never got into medical because something happened when I was a kid. This kid gets like bit. His blood like splattered all over my face. It just was everywhere. I felt like it was in a horror movie. And since then, and I was like 12, I think, I never could do anything blood related. So this journey for me, I got over the blood thing really quickly. And I was like, oh, I actually like it. I'm going to finish this journey. Like I had to put a lot of my creative stuff on the side. You had to put a lot of things that you like to do, go out with your friends, socialize, a lot of things you like to do, you kind of just put inside because I'm also working and I really love it. And I really think knowing what I know now that a lot more loud people should really go into medical. And you go for like a 1-month program, start off with CNA. You can start out as in here, they call it LVN, where it's like a 1-year program. And you could do that in layers. It's not like anything else. And I really think that a lot more of us, it'll also bring us to a different level of coming out of like poverty. Like this is a very secure job. That's where I'm at right
Yeah, I want to acknowledge just you sharing all of that about yourself. So, one, thank you for sharing just what spurred you to go on this journey, which is the death of your child, and at the news of the healthcare system. And that's just something I can't even imagine. Pain and
now. It's
all
really
of that. And so I'm thankful that you just shared it with us because I think it's so important to know it's a horror story, but it also is unfortunately too common. Part of the reason why I support that definitely should be more loud American law diaspora in the medical field so that you can serve your people. I don't know if you saw the last episode, but our friend Me is actually coalescing a group of loud diaspora women to talk about wellness for women over 50, like how trauma and the refugee experience and our experiences growing up, like it affects menopause. And I was just like, what? Our refugee camp experience affects menopause? Like, how? Yeah, I just want to say that it's incredibly inspiring and beautiful to see that you have found your healing through purpose, not only because it's a healing place for you, but also
Really
because we
is.
don't want it to happen to women, especially women of color, who have lower birth outcomes. I'm very honored to be like going through a similar journey with you, and I feel strengthened like knowing that you are also taking the risk to pursue passion, to pursue love and healing and purpose. I think demystifying all of those things is really important for our diaspora because we're often still the first to do certain things. And so there's a lot of things that nobody explicitly ever taught us. We had to figure out those things for ourselves. So I think that you having this awareness and once you get your shit done, don't forget to turn around and help us forge more pathways.
It took me going through this journey to think about, man, I wish more Lao people knew about like the pathways to nursing and that you don't have to necessarily want to be a doctor. Like you could be a nurse and you are very educated on the medical stuff. You're not trained as a doctor, but you are expected to know very close to as much as he knows. And we are the ones who monitor the patient. And it's not uncommon for like senior nurses to advise the new resident. And I know like I despise being in school right now. I might pursue my master's and do a nurse practitioner program. And I just thought it'd be really cool if I went back to Lao and volunteered. Like I would be able to treat very basic things as much as a nurse practitioner does.
Yeah, I think this whole I want to be a doctor thing is when you get to America, and even if you don't actually know what a doctor does, you just expect it to say you want to be a doctor, right? But if you think about the kinds of doctors that we had in Laos, they were probably more like nurse practitioners. So yeah, yes to more Lao nurse. We were
Like,
saying that we just want to say, like, you're never too old
never
to go
too
back.
You're never too old to change your career. Don't ever get stuck in the mindset of I'm too old for this, I'm too old for that.
I don't think you're ever too old to try anything new, especially if it comes to your career or chasing your passions and your dreams, because there's no straight line. For our parents' generation, it was different because they had one factory job for 30 years, but we know that the landscape of work is not like that anymore. And we are privileged too, right? We
are.
have a stepping stone up socioeconomically. And so that's why we're able to just quit a job. And I just want to normalize that more for us. Like change in the norm, right? Like you shouldn't expect to be doing the same thing all the time and expect things to be going on a straight line, whether it's up or down. I love the weaving metaphor because it's like some of the things stay the same, right? And some of the contours of
And
the
it's
life.
okay if there are stitch offs or 2 or 3.
Yeah, I like that approach to life because we're both in our midlives. And at least for me, it's only getting better. I only have more fun and more love for myself and love for my pinong, my fam, and my friends.
My mom always gets on me. She's like, must be nice. You work at home because I work fully remote, part time. And she goes, you don't even have to leave the house. So nice. But it's a privilege.
Yeah, we're lucky. Yeah, sometimes I just 5 minutes before my meeting, right? Yeah, I'm gonna do. Kung what I need, he ka what I lack. I think that's a good segue to talk about one of your other passions, which
you could title it just that.
That is the perfect title to anything that you create. VIP box seats for me, I'm there. So we recently did an event in the fall called Our Mother's Swans, where we invited lots of Lao diaspora women to come and basically just show us something and share something that they're passionate about or part of their creativity. And I told you this, you were the very first person that I thought of. I was like, if we get Noy to come on and da kon, we can use her to leverage other people to join. And we were planning it. We were like, it just seemed very abstract. We were like, it's a boon. It's a virtual boon. We're just there to play and have fun. For example, we have one person that's going to come on and just curse at people in Lao. And so what we told people that they were like, okay, we see the direction that you're going. I was glad to lock you in right away. You gave no resistance. you are down, right? That's the thing about you, and you're a down ass bitch.
I said, I will do some research and I'll come up with a list for you. And I did.
Oh my God. The research that you did was okay, coming from a researcher. You showed up and you were like, this is the theme category. This is the theme category is very long.
It's the schooling in me right now.
It's the schooling in you. Okay. Let's just explain to people what is the phrase. Oh, what I need what I long. What does that mean?
Okay. When you wake up and you leave the motherfucking house looking like you do, like you just shouldn't go out looking like that. You don't even look like you bathe. Hence he blanc. You don't look like you brushed your hair and you walk out that door looking like that, like a hot mess. It describes a hot mess out the door. So like my mom always say, well, I come off. You're not embarrassed to go out looking like that? No.
And for y'all who don't understand the lao, the literal translation is you haven't brushed your hair nor washed your pussy.
Pussy ain't washed, hair ain't sold, or brushed.
So we're cracking up about that, right? You want to talk about like key and the usage of it, the significance of the word.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, it does sound bad in our language, but it's very graphic. It's not like we're talking about the vagina. We're talking about like the pussy. That's exactly how it's used.
Yeah.
It's just it's such a strong like expression. You know what it means when they say it to you. Like you look like you hadn't washed your pussy when you walked out that door. Like you didn't bathe. That expression says, "Oh, haven't bathed." That's what you look like, dirty.
Yeah. Yeah, you look like a mess. Like, where you going? Where you going looking like that? But I just love it because, like, even he itself, right? It's very tonal. You have to hit the right tone.
He bolan.
Yeah. And, I want to tell you from the bottom off to the night meow, people use me in daily conversation like it's nothing. And the same with hum, right? He and hum are, if you don't know any Lao words, you know those words.
Oh my God. What does my mom say? Oh, if your pussy wasn't attached to your body, you would lose that too.
Because you're forgetful. That's what she's really trying to tell you. But
Yeah.
my mom said that shit to me too, because when you said it to me, I turned around and I took it to my mom, and my mom just cracked the fuck up. She was like, oh yeah, I said that to you too.
My mom never stopped saying that to me.
And then when I was in Laos, when I was out in the Ban Nok with the family, like chilling, like I pulled this phrase out. And when I said it to my family, they were dying. They were like, how do you know that phrase? I'm like, what you mean? Of course I know. And so then that unleashed the he talk for the rest of the time. Like when I woke up the next morning, they were like, what would it be? And just laughing so much about it. It was like a way to bond with us because we don't know what diaspora know. So when it comes to these idioms and these very colloquial sayings, if you go to Lao and you bust one out to them, they're just like, oh my God, that traveled to America.
That's what you guys remember of all parts of your language, just so you remember.
But
yes, Mom, that's what I remember.
It survived refugee camps. It survived resettlement.
I'm not a very embarrassed person. I like have no shame. I think it's the Lao in me because when I was younger, I used to always watch the Molam comedies with my dad. He used to watch the show called like Phung Lang Saon. They would like have the video CD. We call it video. And I'd order it for Thailand. And a lot of the stuff they say in there, I just felt like it was so normal. It didn't feel like that Lao people speak. We speak. It's so humorous. They're insulting you, but at the same time, it is so funny. The expression itself, like when my cousin, she went to Thailand with our Chinese friends. And one of my friends is Isan. So she went to her house and she's like, hey, all her family speak Lao. I was like, well, that makes sense. The older generation, they're all Wapasai Lao. And then she was like, yeah, my cousin, she's a little heavier. So she was like, oh, it's so hot. And one of the aunties went out, well, Katohon, right? They're like, fat people, they get hot faster. And all the time. And the Lao people were laughing hysterically. The entire Chinese were doing, oh my God, that's so mean. And when my cousin told me, I was laughing hysterically too, because I was like, damn OGs.
You know what I love from those Marlon things are those phrases that are they're onomatopoeia that like they don't mean anything, right? Malang gong keng. How do I translate this to somebody?
You
Malang
know,
gong keng. Maning maning map ong ngeng ngong ngeng.
I have to catch my mom saying some of this stuff again now that I don't live with my mom. Like, I miss it because I would hear her making these expressions. And it just sounds like some sort of rhythm, like they made
Yeah.
up, and they're
Yes,
expressing the sound or like what it is,
exactly. Like malang gong keng. Like if you think about it, it's like a clumsy motherfucker.
Yeah, like they just when they say a word, they use something almost that rhymes with
Mhm.
it
Yep. Yeah.
to make it more expressive,
It
or like
makes it into that rhythm, that song,
the
right?
expression, and then like anything
Yes.
that they were. Anything in Lao that you want to express more, you say it twice. Oi, wano, wano.
Or you change it a little bit, like my mom would be like, "Oh, king pak king yang."
Lao people are so dramatic. It's so expressive.
That is actually the next thing that I want to research in those words that are like those sounds that give that rhythm,
Expression.
song likeness to our language because it's like it's so unique. I think.
I had one more addition for us, you and me, us in our next research. Okay, we need to learn how to lam.
Yes, I
To,
hell yeah, I want to love.
that's our next project. How see
And I want to
you?
make very vulgar love.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, that's what I remember hearing, and it just felt so, I don't know, next to home. Like I'm like, oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, when I was in Thailand, actually, we went to this bar in Bangkok. It's called Kate Bar, and 3 nights a week they would have these bunnies that would come and play music, and it was like the most fun that I've had out in such a long time. I went back to the bar 3 times. It's so live, and it's just to hear your cultural ancestral music out at a venue that you can enjoy with food and drinks. And I wish there was a spot here. So I know that during your mother's songs, right, you did your improv, and it was mostly about theme. Like, how did you decide to focus on theme for that one? And what do you think is the symbolism of theme?
So I drink a little bit, I admire a little bit. I always go around and think about. I don't know if my dad said it to me a lot when I was a kid, or it's like the kids in the neighborhood, but I just remember the theme a lot because the theme is a really dirty part. When our culture, theme is low, dirty, it's underground. When you ask somebody in theme, it is it's nasty. Okay, like you want to lick the dirtiness off my feet.
Yeah, and that's how you insult people, right? There's even levels to the theme. And like, how much do you hate this person? What part of your foot do you want them to encounter? Is it like the sword?
Exactly. That was fun.
You had us cracking up. You know that my mom was there. I was just like, oh my God, my mom is going to think I'm a goddamn fool. And then afterwards, I FaceTimed her and she was like, oh, it's fine. You know, and I was like, did you think it was funny? And she was like, yeah, I laughed a lot. Oh, the fact that you're making my mom, who is one of those like pearl clutching people, even when we went to Lao, like the mom kept talking about that event. She was like, oh, yeah, like my daughter and her friends, they like babysitted it. And one of the persons like came on and was like telling these jokes. These insults in Lao. They were analyzing it and they were just making it really like comedic, but also an interesting way to look at our own culture and find the humor in it. As soon as you start saying it, like we were just like, we were hooked.
We're
So
like,
it's like,
ooh.
we were like, we have not heard this in a long time. But the conversations that we had around it, I think were really insightful, right? Like we talked about the symbolism of the film. We talked about how it connected to our giant.
Yeah, they're very emotion evoking words. Like just saying something like with the hair washing and their pussy washing, and just the saying that, like, people turn around and they're like, "God damn, what did you say?" Like,
I had to go and invoke my he.
you know what the expression means just from the saying, and they don't just say, "Oh, why don't you wash your hair or take a bath?" So
It's very strong imagery, and I think that's why it evokes such a emotional response because you can see it. You can maybe even remember hearing it, like your
Mhm.
mom saying it. So it carries a lot of sensory with
It
just
really
saying.
does. And makes you remember it because of that.
That's another thing I want to learn how to do, like dakon, like really like, thinking.
Maybe we could have our own Lao version of Wild and Out. The topic is teen. The topic is he.
That would be very therapeutic, and I'm all for it. I love spaces where we could come together, and we have a lot of time to look back on thinking about our childhoods. We're thinking about how we survived.
And we're
You
thinking
know?
about time in general, like how much time we have with our elders. This is when you really think about how valuable time is.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are thinking about culture either because they have kids, right?
And
They
they want
have
to pass
nieces
it
and
on.
nephews. They want to
No?
pass it on. There's a lot that we can reflect on. And so we are finding humor, we're finding healing, we're finding it's like a lot of like insight and knowledge, right? Like the fact that we talk about being so much, like that's really us about our culture. Like when I was in Thailand and I went to go see the statue of the top and I took a picture of the bottom of his feet, and the bottom of his feet, all these intricate designs, each of those points were a point that connected to another part of your body. Holy shit, we didn't know that we were talking about reflexology when we were corny. We're trying to be funny, right? But I think that's cool that we could find meaning in something silly, bringing up these, we call it ancestral insults, right? And people waiting for our part two. You know that.
Yeah.
Like a lot of us are spending more time back in Lao. And so I think something like these phrases, these sayings are a way for us to actually reconnect to our families that are over there too. Because they, like I said, they get surprised that some of these things have just lasted through time and geographies.
Yeah, definitely. The project in the works.
Yeah.
Now that I've settled down into a home and half of that battle is over, my goodness.
Yeah. All right. So I want to ask you another question. This is a question that I had planned to start with, but I forgot. It's
Okay, go for it.
okay because we got to keep talking, right? Now that we're kind of ended this interview, right? How is your dying today, Noy?
I don't know if it's a real word. If I heard it before, I feel like dimjay, like your emotions or your heart is full. Or like, I don't know if that's a real word.
You can there's dim chai and there's also like soup chai, like the end of your chai is in the throat.
I really wanted to come here and I'm here and feel like my heart is full. I don't know how to express that. I thought I heard dimjay and I don't like it's one of those words I don't know if I came up with it or I heard it somewhere, but it feels like that.
Yeah, my mom said that when we first got to Thailand, when we were eating fruit, she was like, "Oh, soup chai." So it could be that someone like five your heart is full and you feel satisfied.
Not quite DJ. There's just this. I as soon as I find an expression, I ask a bunch of loud people. But that's what it feels like. That's I feel it. Everything feels really good.
Do you have any last words that you want to share with our audience, especially around maybe Lao diaspora women, with hopes and wishes for us, or any words of wisdom?
I say pursue a passion. Like if there's something you really wanted to do, just do it. In any form, any way, on the side, wherever. Put some planning into. We don't have to do things the way our parents did them. We can make our own paths. And every time people tell you that's crazy or impossible or that's not the way to do it, There's no way to do it. Just do it. And get outside the comfort zone. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. There's ways to make things work out. I enjoy feeling like I'm alive and I'm living my life. Because even if you have money, and what does any of it mean if you never really get to enjoy your life? I'm happy that now that my mom's older, I get to spend a few years more with her that I wouldn't have had in a while. It was just nice because I always have those memories with my mom in older times. I forgot. Remember I told you I ate my mom's sausage and she called me Ilu. Yeah, called me little grandma. Even our pod, the mother swan, my mom was there. It had an impact on my mom. She called me a child of a gremlin troll thing.
They gave you some new material
No, that's
on
the
the
thing.
spot.
That material was, we were already reviewing it. She heard it. And then it just came out of her mouth, child of freaking troll or whatever. I really appreciate your project because the one thing that we don't do well as Lao people, we don't document. And that's what makes these projects really important because you can look back at them and your kids can look back at them. And like people, or your mom can say, look what my daughter is doing. Look what they're saying in this video. I think we need to definitely document more of what we do.
It's been just incredible to have your support and your friendship. And I want to thank you again for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to talk to your girl and really just engage in these nourishing but crucial conversations around what our lives have been like and allow diaspora women and just how we connect to other people in general. So thank you, Kapchoy Lai Lai, and enjoy the rest of your time. And I want to thank all of our listeners for listening, watching. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, we will. Bye bye,
Ciao.
Nama.